hit Netflix series Cobra Kai. Are you
Welcome
ready?
back to Cobra Kai Never Dies podcast. What's up, Mom? What's up, brother?
Man, what an eventful week we've had, haven't we? Especially
For
the
sure.
last 72 hours, but doing good, man. We just finished watching part 2 of season 6 and just looking forward to give our thoughts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you're talking the last 72 hours because I've been sick the last 72 hours. As you can tell, my voice is kind of not up to par, man.
Yeah, well, not just that, man. And I hope you feel better, but
Yeah.
with the opportunity we got on Wednesday to see the screening, so it's been eventful. It was didn't go as expected, but hey, we were able to get in and pull it out.
For sure, for sure, and we'll talk about that, man. Here, there's a part where I'm gonna kind of go into that,
Mhm.
as far as we can have an opportunity to talk about that. But yeah, man, these last 72 hours have been eventful for us. Not just with the Cobra Kai fandom that we have, and obviously you're rocking the Miyagi Do shirt. I'm rocking the Cobra
Mhm.
Kai shirt. So, but it's finally out. Part two is finally out, so we're gonna give our reactions and our thoughts, our initial thoughts, because we'll come back in a couple of weeks and give episode by episode play, man.
Yes.
But before we get started on that, I'm just gonna tell people just to bear with me because not 100%, and you can tell by my voice that I'm not 100% in terms of just been battling something, just battling a sickness these last couple of days, but I'm finally starting to feel better. So lo and behold, maybe it's because we watched part two. I don't know if it's coincidental, but yeah, man, I'm excited to talk to you about this. We were texting about it. We were obviously able to watch the first two episodes a couple of days ago, so we'll get into that. So I sent you some questions. So there's going to be an outline to how we do this, man. But before we get into that, man, just want to give a shout out because I always like to give shout outs. So there's two shout outs that I'm going to give out today. The first shout out, and what I'm going to give a shout out one right now, and then I'll give the other one later. But a shout out to Craig, excuse me. See, I'm already messing up. But Craig C. So Craig C. left a comment on Spotify for us, man. He said that he loved our show, loves the insight that we give. So man, I appreciate that, Craig, man. Appreciate you guys. Just, again, for the feedback, any feedback we get, we're always appreciative of that, man. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Again, we know there are a lot of Cobra Kai podcasts out there, man. And the fact that you're tuning into ours, we're appreciative of that because, we're just two fans, two fans. We're not professional podcasters by any means. We're not influencers by any means. But we love the show, man. And when we talk about it, we talk about it from, as cheesy as this is going to sound, we talk about it from our heart, but we talk about it, as people who grew up on the Karate Kid, love the Karate Kid, and love what the big three did with this show. So Craig C, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Want
Thank
to
you.
say anything?
Yeah, just echo what you said. Thank you, Craig, for number one, listening to us, and like you said, providing us feedback, and we truly appreciate it. And we definitely take it into account, and definitely try to improve as best we can.
For sure, man. Especially as we're gonna wrap up, dude. I'm gonna give out the schedule of how it's gonna go for these next five, but then after that, it's it, ma. I mean, we're gonna have to find something else to podcast about, man. Maybe
Right.
do like a movie thing. We love movies, so maybe we go with the movies. But after this, it's over unless the big three decide to do the spinoffs and whatnot. But even then, it's probably gonna be 2, 3 years before something gets off the ground. But
Yeah.
anyways, we'll deal with that when it gets here, man. So here we are, man. Here to talk about Cobra Kai season 6, part 2. Finally came out November 15th. We had been waiting for this since July. And man, let's go ahead and get started, brother. Again, I sent you some questions. So
Yep.
my first question to you, all right? 3 words, brother. 3 words. Okay. What are your thoughts of season 6, part 2 in 3 words?
This was a difficult task, but the 3 words that I chose, the final 20.
The final 20?
hmm I can elaborate if you want me to, or
Go ahead and elaborate, brother.
basically episode 10, the final 20 minutes. Would you say it's fair to say that it pretty much casted a shadow on the other episodes because it was so unexpected what happened? and I don't want to dive too much into it because, like you said, we're going to break down the episodes. But I
Yeah.
guess the final 20 just came out of nowhere, and I was like, "Whoa," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The final 20. We'll leave it there because there's
Mhm.
another question on that. There's another question,
Okay.
that I asked you that I sent you about it on that. So we'll leave that alone for right now. Um, Okay. Well, I wasn't expecting that. So here are my three words, brother.
Mhm.
That and by the way, this if you're listening to this, and we're probably gonna post this, video feed. So if you're watching this or listening to this, just know that this has spoilers. So if you haven't watched any of part two, any of the episodes of part two, I would stop watching right now unless you just want to listen and listen to us and watch this and then watch the episodes. But this is going to have spoilers, okay? And we're not doing a breakdown of every episode. We're going to do that later on in the next coming weeks. But again, so just let you know, guys, this does have spoilers. So if you don't want that, please stop listening right now. So this is not a review without spoilers. This is a review that will contain spoilers. So Jose just mentioned the final 20 of episode 10, which there's a specific question about that that we're going to talk about because I think we have to talk about it and talking
Yeah.
about part two, these episodes 6 through 10. We got to talk about the last 20. So I like that though. The last 20, that's pretty dope. Here are my three words though: amazing, moving, confusing. Let me say it
All
again:
three valid
amazing,
emotions right there.
moving, and confusing. So you know where I'm going with that?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so. I believe because, well, I don't want to get because I think we're going to discuss it more into the questions. But yeah, I think I have how you. I think I understand how you came up with those three because those are definitely valid.
For sure, brother, for sure. And in fact, the other shout out that I'm going to give, um, he actually sent me some of his thoughts that I'm going to share because it aligns to
Hmm.
what I just said with these three words. So amazing, moving, and confusing. So again, those are my three thoughts. I'm not dissing the show.
Nope.
It was amazing. It was moving. There were moments throughout the episodes that were very moving, very touching. Um, very. And again, I can't wait till we break down episode by episode. And then it was confusing for me,
Hmm.
as a fan. And again, doesn't mean it's bad. It's
Nope.
just for me, right? It's my take. And anybody else can be like, nah, it was the greatest thing ever. And that's fine.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
it was confusing for a bit. So, all right, Ma. So let's go, man. Let's go into it. Initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts are pretty much, you know what? I thought it was great as usual. The big three created the storylines and the character arcs, kept me invested throughout. And, up until that final 20 is kind of where, I agree with what you said, confusing. And not in a bad way, but I think it was more in I kind of have questions or would like to pick the brains of the big three as to how that, just to give a more clarification on how that fit in. You know what I mean?
For
Like
sure.
that. But as usual, it's another masterpiece, man. They're fans of the show. They know what we want, and everything kept me invested throughout from episode 6 all the way through episode 10.
So here's our opportunity to talk about how we were fortunate enough to watch the first two episodes a
Yeah.
couple of nights ago. Um, of course, we didn't have, and the reason why I said influencers is because apparently influencers got dibs before us. So
Yeah.
we went through a sweepstakes. In fact, Jose's the lucky one. So Jose went through a sweepstakes. And so luckily there was a show in here in Dallas, Texas, and we're from Dallas, Texas. So it was just perfect. In fact, when we found out that they were going to be here, Cobra Kai had sent a link through Instagram or whatever. They had a post, and then John had a post, and I immediately called Jose. I remember, my daughter was in the car with me, and I immediately called him and said, "Hey, we got to do this. At least put a shot in for it, right?
Right.
Because again, we're super fans of the show, and it'd be great to meet, the big three because they were going to be here, and William, Billy Zabka, and Ralph were going to be here as well. So we put it in." Put our names in there. In fact, I had my daughter. Well, I used my daughter's email to put in for the tickets as well because it would have been cool to take her as well because
Right.
she's a
Yeah.
fan of the show. So if you would have had 4 tickets, we could have taken. You could have taken your son. I could have taken my daughter. So, anyways, I didn't get chosen, but Jose got chosen, and so
It's a
It
weird
was good.
process, man. You know, they
Yeah, it was good, but we get there and it's not what we expected. So apparently, if you're in media, if you're a critic, and we're podcast hosts. I think we're critics, but anyways, they get dibs first, and there's no hard feelings. It's all in jest the way we laugh. We
it's a
just didn't
reality check,
expect it
right, brother?
because we didn't expect it
Mhm.
because we were there, early. We were there at like 5 o'clock, and in fact, there were other people that were there like since 4 o'clock, and
Mhm.
screening didn't start till 8, but they said to get there early, so we get there early,
Mhm.
and I feel bad for the people who got there early as well, who maybe didn't get in. We were able to get in. We were fortunate enough to get in. We got tickets and stuff, and we're able to see. Billy Zapka was right there, like
Right next to us, right? Yeah.
a foot away from us. You know what I'm saying? Said what's up. In passing, not specifically to us,
Yeah.
but even John. So shout out to John Hurtwitz. He
He
recognized what
acknowledged
we
you.
say. He acknowledged me. Roman Reigns acknowledged us
Yes.
when we said we're Cobra Kai Never Dies podcast. So we appreciate that,
Yeah.
But anyways, again, going back to, we were able to watch the first 2 episodes, and we were hooked, So
Yeah.
when you talk about initial thoughts from the beginning, we were hooked. So when we watched the 2 episodes, it was like, all right, I'm ready. And that I was, man. I know. I listened to our podcast, Jose, the one we did when we did the trailer
Mhm.
review for part 2, and we did our expectations. There was
Yes.
a part in there where we talked about expectations, and one of the things I was like, I don't know, because there's been such a long delay, right?
Yeah.
But when we saw the first 2 episodes of this of part 2 of season 6, I was excited again.
Yeah.
So I was excited, and we were the crazies. We woke up early this morning. Again, I'm sick, but I woke up early this morning, laying in bed, and started watching it. And so I'll probably have to watch it again to get the full thing, but which would be okay, because that's what I'm planning to do, with my daughter later this weekend. But yeah, man, that was it. Watching the first 2 was great,
Yeah.
and it got us hooked. So when you say initial thoughts, that's what I think. Like, man, I was ready, like, because they were great. There's a lot. The fighting was great, right?
Fighting
Can
was
you say that?
great. Yeah.
The fighting was great. The stories were great. Yeah, man, that was good, man. So what other initial thoughts before we get into some questions?
Yeah, no, just to piggyback on the character arcs, man. I thought Miguel's, I thought Robbie's and Tori's and Sam, and even the new characters that maybe I was a little bit critical about because of the trailer, but that's because we had a small sample. But even some of the new characters like Zara and Sensei Wolf and Axel and the Iron Dragons, they impressed me. I thought they did a good job. So,
Okay.
like I said, it was exciting, and the new characters, I thought, um, I know, like you said, I got excited and I was invested, man. So
Yeah, we even talked about it that night when after the screening, we were like, you know what, Sensei Wolf is kind of tight. We were like,
yeah,
kind of cool. If Sensei Wolf kind of grew on me, man,
mhm.
or not grew on me, but I kind of liked him. So yeah, I was harsh. I know I was like, in
Oh,
fact,
and
I said
Kwon.
something
Let's not
about,
forget about Kwon. Continued his swagger
oh,
of his
Kwon
VA.
is dope. Kwon
Yeah,
is dope. Although I don't know if I'm going to say it in this podcast episode, but there's going to be a point where I'm like, I kind of wish they would have done differently, and not because of what happened in the final 20,
yeah,
but I think I kind of feel like they watered his character down there at the last 2 episodes, but we'll talk about that
yeah,
in depth when we cover it.
yeah.
But no, Kwon was amazing. But Sensei Wolf, I know I had said that the only Wolf that should be getting play is Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox. But um, yeah, man. So Sensei Wolf, Zara was already badass
Yeah,
from the get go because of her one little line, and she was just great. She's very charismatic, But initial thoughts, again, it was great. This is like just seeing it, watching it, kept us invested,
and the fighting.
and really, really wanted you to keep going, and it's what it is. And especially after the final 20, you're like, damn, why do we got to wait till February?
I
So by
know,
the way, if you
right?
don't know, February the 13th is when the new one is gonna show. So, but also initial thoughts. Glad to see Chosen back. I
Yes,
know I was
Chosen
excited when
back.
we
Yeah.
saw him. Glad to see Chosen back, man. And here's a question that I didn't send you, but I'm gonna ask you right now: is part 2 better than part 1 of season 6?
I would say yes. Maybe it's recency bias. But I think because part one was kind of just the build up
Mm-hmm.
to the Saikai Taikai, but then when you actually see the tournament, you can tell it's on a big global scale. And like I said, the fighting and events, which is something that I put that stood out, is the events that they used to score points and stuff. So I thought it was, but what do you think? I'm curious.
I think so too. No, I
You think
think
so
so
too?
too,
You
man. I
agree
think
with
that
it?
it's I think it's a lot better. I think
Yeah.
that I kind of feel like in the past seasons where I'm like, man, I want to watch it again.
Hmm.
That's why I don't mind watching it again. Like I
Yeah.
said, my daughter will be with me this weekend, and we even talked on the phone that we were going to watch it together. Um, yeah, and I don't think I felt that way about part one. I think, and even when we talked about some of the episodes, I mean, I think we gave one a 3.5, right? The one with underdogs with our boy Mike Barnes, we gave it a 3.5, which is low for us.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to, I know that people like, well, there's certain podcasters that will always give it, 5 stars. And no, I mean, I think when it's time to be critical, we're critical, and again, it's our opinion, it's subjective, anything,
Right.
right? Anything that when you're a critic, you're being subjective, right? You're basing it off of your opinion. But I think part two far outweigh part one. Does it have its flaws? For sure. And there's a question on it that I'm going to ask about, things that we didn't like and we're going to share. And as we get into it a little bit more through the episodes, we'll find things. But I think it's great. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've seen it again because, again, I've been sick. So
Mhm.
I've just been laying in bed.
Yeah.
I watched it again, dude. I watched all 5 again.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be twice. If I watch it again with my daughter, it's going to be 3 times.
Three
So
times.
I
Yeah.
think it did, brother,
Yeah.
So,
I might
hey,
check
man,
it out this
I know
weekend.
you didn't watch episode 1 again this morning, right?
No. I started with the third one,
3.
or which one that would have been what,
So
7,
I've
right?
been in and out because I've
Eight.
been,
Eight.
I've been on meds, right? Yeah, episode 6. I'm sorry, which is episode 1 of part 2. But so I didn't see how I didn't see if they put if they did remember how they showed In Memory of Dutch
Yeah.
of Chad McQueen.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if they did that.
Oh, I didn't see
Because
it.
again, I told you I watched it again, but
Yeah.
I've been like in and out of sleep because of
Hmm.
the medicine, right? Um, so I don't know if they did that, but hopefully they did because that was pretty cool. That
That
was one of the
was.
cool things, right?
Hmm.
So hopefully they did do that, but maybe they just did it for us. But I'm sure they probably didn't. So I don't know. Again, that was probably one of the moments where I fell asleep. All right, brother. So you kind of went into this, but we can go into it a little bit more. So who stood out? Who? So I got 2 questions. The first one is who stood out, and the next one is going to be what stood out. But let's focus on the who stood out. So character wise, who stood out to you?
For me, Miguel, hands down, leadership,
That was dope.
leadership from not only leadership but motivator from
Hmm.
episode 6 all the way to episode 10. And he basically carried the team and made the captains come in line. And when I say the captains, I mainly mean Robbie. Robbie was going through in his character arc. He was going through some rifts. Kind of not all 100% focus, which we'll talk about it more when we review the episodes. But I just put Miguel hands down, and then of course he had another great scene with Billy or with William Zabka in the airplane, man, and
Yeah.
can't wait to talk about that one. They've had some amazing scenes together, man. Their chemistry, so that I put Miguel hands down.
Yeah, Miguel was dope. Miguel, everybody who's listened to this podcast from the beginning knows my, the love that I have for Miguel, man. Cholo's killed it. But yeah, Miguel stood out to me. Chosen stood out, I think, in the episodes that he was in, because he wasn't in one. I don't think he was in the second one, so he wasn't in episode 7, but he was in the other ones. And I just, some comedy, but I don't know, man. He's just a fresh character. I don't know
Yeah,
his charisma. And maybe it's bias that I have towards him, but because I was clamoring for Chosen, but I think he killed it, man. And so he stood out. Let's see, Kenny in his few parts, he stood out as
yeah,
well. But here's another one, man. And you're not going to be surprised. And obviously Zabka, he did well as well. But who killed it, man? Who stood out for sure, for sure, for sure?
Who would you say?
Freaking Silver, man. Terry Silver.
Silver?
There it is. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched it.
Yeah,
Terry Silver is back, and Terry Silver freaking killed it. He didn't have a lot, but the few that he did have, the few scenes that he did have, he was amazing, man. In my opinion.
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely since our last review of the trailer, we know we wanted to see him. He killed it in 5, and so I really liked. Well, I don't want to get too much into it.
No, say it. Say it. It's okay. I mean, we'll come back to it in a couple
Well, I
weeks. But
like
say it
the connection with him in the tub, like in
in
part
the
three.
tub. Yeah. I like what he said.
Yeah, or Danny
Well,
Boy, or,
what would be life without a few surprises?
right? Yeah, there you
That
go.
was dope.
Yeah,
That was dope. Nah,
he's
he
just
killed it, man.
a towering and polarizing character, man. Not maybe it's because he's 6'4" or 6'5", and he knows that
Maybe.
I think I've read that he's actually a true black belt.
Well, dang, he looked ripped, dude.
Yeah,
You see, when he got out of that tub, he looked pretty ripped, man.
yeah, he sure
I don't
did.
think he was like that last time. He looked like he's like, yo, I'm gonna, if I'm gonna be in this tub, I'm gonna pump some iron and lose some weight. And he looked like ripped, dude. So much love to him. So
Yeah,
he stood out, man. Let's see who else. You know what? I like Sensei Wolf. He kind of, I think he kind of the last two episodes he didn't do much, but he established himself as a good character. Let's see what else. Who else? Who else? Because
well,
that's what we're
just to
saying.
add on Sensei Wolf, I put that he's a good adversary to Johnny. I really like their exchanges.
Yeah.
you know, and no, I won't go that far as saying he's like, a version of Johnny. No, I won't go that far, but
No, he's not.
nah,
He's badass though,
he
as
is,
far as a fighter
yeah.
too. You
But
can
yeah,
tell.
they had good exchanges and good chemistry together. So yeah, I want to definitely piggyback off that about Sensei Wolf.
Cool. So I like Zara. People may think she, was bitchy, but I think she played it well.
Yeah,
So she stood out to me. I like Devin too, man.
came
I think
clean.
Devin did good. Yeah, came clean. Accountability.
Accountability.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Accountability. So much love to Devin. We're about to start naming everybody. No, okay. Here's the last one for me. Notice I didn't say LaRusso, but still don't like LaRusso.
We got a chance to speak to him, but I don't think he was, pleased with us asking him for
Yeah,
a
that's
photo.
another story. But we're not talking about that's why, but just in the show, I think. But anyways, I liked Amanda, man. I liked her little arc in getting Kenny.
Getting Kenny motivated.
Amanda
Yeah.
LaRusso, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, Amanda did good. She had, a few scenes, but they were impactful as well.
Yeah, I think she stood out in the fact that, number one, she was willing to do that favor for Johnny. She's a ride or die. We said that
Yes.
from the get go. She's a ride or die, in terms of just being there for her husband and being there for her husband's friend and being there for her husband's dream of, making sure that this Saikai Taikai goes well. So again, there would be some wives, and this isn't a podcast about that, but there'd be some wives who would be hesitant and like, why do I got to do that? Why do I got to go talk to some kid about going to Barcelona? But she was quick to do it and quick to convince her son to apologize.
Yes.
So I like those scenes. So she stood out to me, man.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was gonna say too. Is she kept Anthony. She made Anthony be accountable,
Yeah.
and pretty much made both of them work it out. Like, what did she say? In a war, somebody's gonna have to lose.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then she said, well, who's gonna do it, right? Somebody's gonna have to give in, right? Very good. All right, brother. So now the what stood out to you? You want me to start, or you got it?
I have a couple. I
Okay.
took down two.
Okay.
I put the Saikai Taikai events. It was a change of pace from the All Valley. It's not just one against one, but the team and the tagging and the
Oh, that was cool.
and then the platform, fighting from the platform and protecting the captains, kind of similar to protecting the egg from what was it, season 5? And so the Saikai Taikai events, the scoring system, and of course the fighting. Episode 9 and 10, a lot of good fighting. Well, throughout, not just 9 and 10.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah. So keep the scoring system in mind, because I got something with that. In fact, I'm gonna write it down. So no, it was cool. Yeah, the Seikai Taikai. You're right, man. I did like the team. I like when they finally decided to include Kenny and they tired Yoon out. Remember?
Yes.
And so in order for Yoon couldn't tag his opponent, so they were kicking his hand every time he tried to tag. So that was pretty cool. Kind of wrestling too, you know what I'm saying? You don't let your opponent tag in. So that was cool. So yeah, I'm with you with the Seikai Taikai. But I got a question of, so it's kind of love-hate Seikai Taikai, because it ties into the final 20, brother. Okay. But you know what stood out to me? Barcelona, man.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been there. You've been there, brother.
It was 20 years ago, man, and it looks so much different. I definitely go back, but it's a beautiful city, man. Don't get me wrong.
I want to go. The way they made it look, dude. Like, number one, the Barcelona Knights. I got that down. Like, I want to check that out. Looks pretty dope. I like a good time. Go out there and just have a drink and chill. It was cool, tapas and all that. So,
Yeah.
and then just the architecture. I love cities like that because obviously we live in Texas. It's plain. There's no mountains. There's no ocean here. Where we're at. We're in
At least
Dallas.
not in the
Again,
DFW area, right?
yeah, not in the DFW area, right? So we're in the plains. There's no mountains, no ocean. Um, but yeah, man, the way they shot Barcelona, dude, I want to go. And so that stood out to me. So it was a good location
Yeah.
as far as just the scenes and then when they trained there at the end, right? When Johnny and Ralph, Johnny and Lawrence.
Daniel.
No, see, look at me. Johnny and Daniel, my bad. Johnny and Daniel just, trained Robbie and Sam there at the end in episode 10. It was cool just just seeing where they were training. So what was that one bridge, bro? Is that a park?
I think that the bridge I'm not too familiar, but the one with the tile, and I think it's tile and beautiful artsy tapestry. That's
Yeah.
Gaudi Park, I believe. It's
Is
like
that
up on
outside or was that the
yeah, it's
inside?
it's outside and it's up on a
Okay.
hill. And I remember that was one of the first sites that I went. This was 20 years ago when I
Okay.
went, so it was beautiful. But I mean, I didn't stay near the water. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's obviously probably more expensive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the only, and the Sagrada Familia. I do remember those are the two locations that they didn't show Las Ramblas, which I was really a little disappointed. It's basically like a main street full of shops and restaurants and stuff like that. If I
Oh,
remember
really?
correctly, yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was beautiful because it's a long strip, brother. It's like a
Yeah.
long strip, and I think it leads you all the way to the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it was cool though, man. It was cool. What else was I going to say? So did you notice what else stood out? So a couple Rocky references.
Yeah.
The one with Carmen, Win,
Win.
which I'm sure we'll talk about when we get to that episode
Mhm.
in a couple of weeks. And then when they run up the stairs, obviously it's not Philadelphia Art Museum, but so what place was that? Did you recognize that place where
No,
they
that
run up
one
the
I did
stairs?
not. I did not
Okay.
recognize that. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to that one. So,
Okay. So
but
that
it
was
looked
pretty cool.
beautiful, though. Don't get me wrong.
They should have done a better shot though. I didn't like the shot. So the
Yeah.
shot is just them at the top. They should have done it. They should have shot. They
From
should have got
behind?
that one, but they're from behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from
So just to
behind,
see what they were looking at. Yeah.
just like
That would
Rocky
have been
did,
cool.
right? And like
Yeah. Heck yeah. Exactly.
when he
So,
raised his fist.
all right, brother. So before we go into what we didn't like, anything else that stood out?
I just had a little side note. I like Chosen and Sensei Kim. I like their little storyline that they have.
That was cool. Yeah. There we go.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah. Yeah.
chemistry.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
And you know what? We've been so critical about Sensei Kim. I think in these 5 episodes, I thought she did real good. I'm gonna give her props. Maybe it's because she had Chosen, but even on the other scenes where she's not with Chosen, I still thought she did good. Motivating Tori and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not
You know
really
what?
wanting to fall in line with Kreese with
Yeah.
his tactics.
And she looked hot too with her hair down. So I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if it's that.
absolutely. I
Was it
concur.
Alicia Kim? Is that her name? Alicia Hannah?
Alice Hannah
Alice Hannah? Yes.
Kim, I
Beautiful. She
believe.
looked beautiful. No, you know what, man? She did do good, man. And if there's anybody who's been extra critical of her, it's been me. So again, remember I mentioned that she sounded less robotic in part one, and
Mhm.
she sounded less robotic. I don't know. Again, I don't know her acting background, and I'm not an actor, man. Again, I just watch movies, but
Mhm.
that was one of my biggest gripes in season 5 is that she sounded very robotic. So now she sounded more natural. So maybe that's what it is. But even she finally showed some moves, when she kicked that guy's butt. Remember when she was trying to get answers about what she
Yeah,
was looking for
that
for the teens? Yeah, dude. So that was pretty cool. And then her and Chosen, they had good chemistry working together.
one upping each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, one up at each other, and they did what they did. You know what I'm saying? So
What happens in
on
Barcelona?
the beach 2 times, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
What
So
happens in Barcelona, brother?
yeah, but no, it was good, and probably my favorite part. And again, we'll get to this in a couple of weeks as well. But when I like the exchange between her and Tori when Tori said, "Is it worth it?
Yes,
Is winning worth it?" That was pretty dope.
that was
You
legitimate
know,
question.
legitimate question. So I'll just leave it at that and we'll
Yeah.
get to it in a couple of weeks. But is it worth it? And then her answer and her looking at Chosen and it was cool. It was cool. It stood out. So, but again, I talked about Chosen coming back. That was cool. All right, so here we go. Before we get into what we don't like, thoughts on the Miyagi storyline.
Not enough clarity. Still have tons of questions. To be honest, didn't really answer much. All we know is that he fought in the Saikai Taikai, and one of his matches, spoiler alert, one of his matches ended in a death.
Yeah.
You know, that whole little, well, I won't go too much into it because we're gonna talk about it in the episode, but that little, you know, journey that Daniel took, that didn't really answer much. So
What's that? My bad, bro. It's just like, isn't there like a? I'm sure there's a show, man. I just can't think of it, probably because I'm not feeling 100%. But that solved nothing. You know, it solved nothing. Like
yeah.
it, right? It solved nothing. All that, and it solved nothing. What did it bring? But go ahead. My bad.
No.
I just
That
thought
was
about
that
that.
was all, brother. It's just basically there wasn't enough clarity, you know. So we still have questions, you know.
Yeah.
So that was really my only thoughts on it because you know we didn't really get answers, which I
Well,
guess is expected, you know.
here's my thought. I don't think that storyline was necessary, bro. I don't. Whoever thought about bringing that storyline is, again, man. Serious. This is just me, but
Yeah.
it hasn't added anything to it. Number one, I don't believe that he would have fought in the tournament because of what we've seen. So if you're sticking true to what we saw in the films, he never talked about that. I watched Karate Kid Part 1 because, again, I've been in bed these last couple of days, man. So I watched Karate Kid Part 1, and I sent you a screenshot.
It's on Netflix now,
And
right? I think.
yeah, it's on Netflix, and when we got it, bro, right? We can put
Yeah.
the DVD on, right?
Hey, we know it right
But
here, brother.
you know, yeah. But remember, Daniel's like, so how do you do the scoring thing? He's like, I don't know, you know, first time you, first time me, you know,
He fought for
bro. He
life.
don't know about tournaments, and we're supposed to believe that he fought in a tournament. Like, you're going against everything. I don't dig that, bro. So
It's contradictory,
come
right?
on, yeah, man. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I don't feel the storyline was necessary, is necessary, and to just back up what you said, what we got right now hasn't added anything. So there's a death. Okay. So I don't know, bro. They got some to really, you know, I
It's a
guess
challenge to answer that.
to really get I guess fans like me, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel like you and feel like me. We're like, what's the purpose of this whole storyline? If it's to rattle Daniel, could you have not found another way to rattle them? Could you not have found another conflict, or could the conflict just be making sure these kids are ready? You know, that's one of the things we talk about. Let's focus the thing back on the kids. I think he could have done a lot more with I don't know, man. Even bringing Terry Silver in the mix, you know, I mean, I think that would have been enough, you know, to be like, damn, we can't get rid of this dude, you know, like we cannot get rid of this guy. That's your struggle, that's your challenge, that's your conflict. You know, this guy keeps freaking popping up, and he keeps like trying to kill Daniel, right? With Dennis the Guzman.
Yeah.
So it was. I don't think the storyline is necessary, man. I really don't. And what's crazy, I was thinking about this too, Jose. Remember at the beginning, you know, those posters, or those, not even posters, but just like images before the season came out, before season 6 came out,
Yeah.
with the chopsticks and the boxing glove and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? What is that brought to this whole story, dude? Nothing. Like, how's it gonna play in the overall, you know, story, you know, because I think it's going to end with the best parts to me. And I've said this, have always been Johnny and Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
And even the most touching parts in these episodes, Johnny Miguel, and then the kids realizing that, hey, this is the last time we're going to fight together.
Yeah.
That was a badass
That
scene.
was a badass scene, yes.
That was a badass scene. So the heart of this show has been about, look what we've overcome, and Miguel telling them, hey, look what you guys did for me. Look what LaRusso did for kids from, you know, the Valley. The heart was the kids, right? And what you've done for the kids. So it was never about Miyagi, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously Miyagi, he plays a part, right?
Yeah.
But it was never about his storyline. And so I felt that it was unnecessary, man. So thoughts on the Miyagi storyline for me, you said it's still no clarity. For me, it's like, it's unnecessary, man. I felt that if you took it away, you could have still had a badass
Yeah.
season
And the thing is,
6.
what I'm concerned is even if we do get an answer, I think it might be below our expectations, or that's just being the harsh critic, I guess. Playing
It already is for me because he didn't fight. I've watched part 1, part 2, part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw part 4. Don't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
But part 1, part 2, part 3, like we're supposed to believe this dude fought. Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So
I mean, maybe they'll answer it, but at this point, so far up until in the seasons, we haven't really gotten any clarity. Plain and simple.
All right, brother. Next,
dislikes, huh?
What didn't you like about part 2?
I'm gonna put Dimitri and Eli's beef. I thought that was a little annoying. I know it's from part 1. They're it's part of their storyline and arc, but I just thought it got to be a little annoying there at the end and or throughout these episodes. So that was one. I don't know how I feel, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. And we don't have to go too much into it, but we definitely have to talk about it when we review this episode. Is the twist when Cobra Kai gets spoiler alert, the twist when Cobra Kai gets the second chance? Was that the twist that you were talking about when you were texting me? Like when when the Russian team gets disqualified for performance enhancement.
Nah, the twist was we'll talk about it. Final 20. Yeah, that was a twist for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess, and again,
you didn't like the disqualification?
Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and
you know what it brought me to? What I thought about? Remember in dodgeball when they disqualify that team because those girls, where they had that one girl that was taking steroids, and then they showed her she had a beard or whatever. Oh, remember dodgeball?
It's been a minute since I've seen dodgeball. Yeah.
Anyways, there's that scene where so Angry Joe's team, Vince Vaughn's team, gets eliminated, and then they can't go to the next round. But then they find out that some team had steroids or whatever, and they show a girl, she's got like a beard or whatever. So, anyways, so you didn't like that. So okay, let's talk about the first one, and then we'll talk about that one. Dimitri and Eli. Yeah, it's kind of the comedy, very, very. I don't know, fart jokes. I guess they're funny to some people. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see if my daughter laughs when we watch it with her. For me, it's like whatever. He who dealt it smelt it. All that stuff. I've said that in the past, right? But was a payoff enough for you? So again, for me, not much of an opinion on that. But was a payoff enough for you? Because the payoff was kind of cool.
Yeah, when they finally realized their ways and
when Hawk apologized, hey man,
reconciled and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, man.
So I guess it's the means to an end. I mean, if you can do that. So, and then you know what? One more thing I just wrote down, and this is more of an opinion. The last thing that I put is the brawl at the end, the final 20.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I thought. Would you say it's unfair that it kind of halted the momentum as far as the storyline?
Let's wait till we get to that because that's gonna be the next question. That's the next question.
Okay,
that's the next question.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah.
So Dimitri Eli beef, and then you talked about the twist with the Russian team. You didn't like that?
Yeah, I was just like, that rarely happens. You know what? Reggie Bush got disqualified, and they didn't give the Heisman Trophy to Vince. I'm sorry. I'm bitter. I'm bitter about that.
You're right. We know why it happened.
Yeah.
Obviously. But maybe, man, I don't want to even get into the writers' room because this is our category, man. That we'll do in a couple of weeks. So it is what it is, man. Like, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if they went home, or let's say they did not go home, and then Kreese just said, "Screw it, we may have lost the tournament, but we're gonna win the war."
Yeah, that's a good back to writer's room right there. Yeah,
and that takes precedence over what happened. So let's get into that. The ending.
The ending.
So the final 20.
Yeah.
The final 20. Because your question, ask it again. Because I want people to listen to this.
Okay, so I put down the brawl at the end,
Yeah.
and I thought it halted the momentum a little bit, like the way the story was going and the episodes were moving. Like you said, moving, right? That was one of your
Yeah.
three words.
No, for sure.
The
For sure.
the episodes were the storyline and everything, the character arcs was moving in an invested way, and then they just kind of threw that, and we're like, oh, okay, kind of reshift and rethink, why is this happening? You know, the critic inside of us is like, okay,
Yeah.
what's the purpose of this? Why is
Yeah.
this happening? You kind of have to reshift your thinking, I guess,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
So, like I told you, because we texted about this, and I was like, all right, we got to stop because we're gonna podcast about this. I was excited to see Tori and Sam fight again.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been good. I was excited just to see them go through with the freaking fights, man. Yeah, it did halt. To me, it halted the momentum, and that's the confusing part because I don't even think they needed that. Now we know why they did it. I mean, we think we know why they. Well, yeah, we know why they did it because they wanted to end it in a cliffhanger, right? So, but did that really need to happen? Did that brawl really need to happen? Like, I wanted to see the kids fight, like keep it about the kids. Like, if you're gonna have some all-out brawl, well, let me just say this, bro. So, yeah, televised, but let me see what I didn't like. Where the hell was the security, bro? You telling me in this great freaking badass world class tournament, there's no security, so they're just gonna let people fight? Like, I get the school, you got one school resource officer, and you got teachers who say, because let's go back to see, because this is what they're saying, it was better, it's gonna be better than season 2 fight. At least to me, yeah, none of it's really realistic. We know that, okay? We get that, all right? This is over the top. It's television, it's film, we get it. But in a school setting, you got one school resource officer, maybe 2 at a high school. And then you got teachers. And you got teachers like, look, I don't get paid enough. Like that one guy in season 2, remember, he's like, hey, go stop this fight. He's like, screw that. I don't get paid enough, right? But in this world-class tournament, you don't have security?
Or nobody.
Come on, man. And then you kick the Russian team out, but they're still able to go in? Come on, man. It just... Nah, brother, I don't get it. Right, yeah, dude, it's just it just that's the confusing part to me because they were on a roll, they were kicking ass. It was about the fighting. If you wanted it to end on a cliffhanger, you could have done something else. Do an injury angle, like wrestling. Do an injury angle. Freaking Sam gets hurt. I don't know. I mean, mimic something where like Robbie, his knee gets taken out, right? So it's like LaRusso again, and that's it. Yeah. And then we don't know what's going to happen, and we come back. Exactly. But now, like, what the heck is going to happen? Now what?
And that's going to lead into the
and then our favorite character, and again, people know we've warned them. This is spoilers. Freaking Kwon is dead. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. I don't know, it's confusing me, bro. Well, go ahead and say something, and I'm gonna pull up something that I'm gonna read.
Yeah, and you know what? This is not the show's fault, but it was kind of disappointing because, like you said, we're both fans of Kwon. We didn't see that coming. His death. But what occurred in my situation is this morning when I was getting ready to watch it, and I just accidentally stumbled on a spoiler, man, and that just, I guess that just kind of messed it up for me too. And I didn't mean to stumble on the spoiler. I just, checked my feed on social media, and that was the first one that popped up because I had the notification. And so, man, I didn't want to believe it. I just kind of tossed it to the side. I was like, nah, somebody's just being crazy, whatever. And then, of course, it happens, and I'm like, again. But
so, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts when you saw that? What were your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. It just left more questions, and I kind of didn't understand. Okay, what are they thinking? When I say they, I mean the big three. What it kind of leads me to ask them, kind of give some understanding of what was your thought process when you wrote this into the story, because it was going well, and we kind of wanted to see the finishes of the fights, and now we don't. We don't even get to see it. And I have some more to add, but I'm going to save it for the final question that you asked. That you wrote down. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let me read this. So just shout out to
Mhm.
Raul Vera from Sweden. All right, from Sweden. So
Very good analysis. You showed it to me today.
man,
Very
very
good.
good analysis. Again, he shouted us out,
Mhm.
in a message that he loves that we kill it with our analysis. So hey, man, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Means a lot to us. But I'm just gonna read what he wrote, man, because I asked him. I just want to get his thoughts. We're all about the people.
Yeah.
And like The Rock, baby, we're about the people's champ, right? So he said he honestly liked the second part and enjoyed having a lot of fights, and the fighting was dope.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I just have two things I didn't like. So, given the ending, which is a big twist, I feel the 5 episodes, which come out in February, might not be enough for a resolution. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, will the tournament keep on going? Will Cobra Kai step back after Kwon's death? Will we see Axel versus Robbie? I feel that it might have been too big a twist for this stage of the series. That's true. So, and then he also talked about being a Miguel fan, and we'll get into this. That he kind of felt like Miguel took kind of a back burner the last 2 episodes, and I felt that too because Miguel was kicking ass the first 2 episodes, right? He was the main reason why they advanced,
Yeah.
and then like the last 2 episodes, he was like it was all about Robbie. So, but anyways, I think there are people who like love the ending. Obviously they don't love that Kwon died because Kwon was such a great character, but they're like, yo, this is dope. I can't believe they went that. And there are people like you and I and Roll. We're like, where do you go with this, man?
Mm-hmm.
This is just like, now what? Like, and now you're gonna wrap it up. Now you're gonna wrap up a whole 6 seasons worth in 5 episodes.
Episodes. Yeah.
Like, I hope these episodes are an hour long, bro,
Yeah.
because 30 minutes go like this.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are you can just rush through stuff? Like, I think, and I remember that, I read somewhere that Hayden said that part 2 was going to be the Saikai, about the Saikai, the tournament. And then part 3 was going to be the aftermath. So it would have been the aftermath, how we wrap up the stories, right? Let's just get the stories, maybe see the birth of the daughter, and, see how Daniel and Johnny finally make amends, and see what happens with Miguel. And right. Like we get the whole ending, right?
Yeah.
And maybe there's another character to overcome, but maybe that's where Silver comes in, right? Like we still can't get rid of this tall bastard, like, so let's finally get rid of him.
Yeah.
But now we're like, okay, now we don't have a clear-cut winner in the Saikai Taikai, right? There's no winner. What happens now? We didn't see Tori versus Sam again, which would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
um Axel,
Actually,
Robbie,
Robbie didn't finish.
I mean, Axel was kicking his ass, so
Yeah.
shout out to Axel, my brother's name. But then, yeah, and I didn't mention this, and I'm going to mention it because I know I'll mention it again. But Axel looked like he was 30 years old. Could we have like age tested his ass? You know what I'm saying? Axel looked like
He stood
he
out,
was
dude. He
30.
stood out like amongst. He was like
It
tall.
wasn't even his height, but he just looked like he's 30 years old. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, and I'm not dissing him. Actually, he did great. But I did like that. So going back to how the whole thing started, so Kwon cheap shots him,
Mhm.
cheap shots Robbie, and I like how Miguel goes up to him,
Yeah.
man. Miguel's like, hey, what's up, right? And then Axel, he's pissed because he likes
Like
Sam.
Sam, yeah.
And then I like what Robbie said. Did you catch this? He said, you want to try that shit again? Remember he told
Yeah.
that to
Oh
Kwon?
yeah, he told us to
That's
Kwon.
tight,
Yeah.
dude. I like that. So that was pretty cool setup. So I think you could have done all that, but it didn't have to become this whole brawl.
Yeah.
I didn't think you had to. I think you stop it. I think you fight it. I mean, I think you let them fight. And I think there's an injury angle, and bam, we go to the next season.
Yeah.
But this whole brawl, because we're trying to outdo each other. They did it with the Christmas thing, right?
Mhm.
Remember the
The
Christmas one?
Christmas into season 3, right?
It's like they have to I always have a brawl, and hey, one of the best seasons is season 1.
Yeah.
They didn't have a brawl.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't have a brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to have a brawl now?
Well,
You're right, dude. What was their thought process?
and
And
here's the
again,
thing, and you've touched on this. You have 5 episodes to close it out, to close it the right way. For the fans and how we kind of have expectations. I mean, do you even have time to finish the tournament aftermath? I mean, you would have to dedicate at least an episode to it, and then now you're down to 4. So
yeah, at least 2,
yeah, so
because it's not going to be a quick turnaround. Some 17-year-old kid died, man.
yeah,
He died, dude. Unless no, he didn't die. They stopped the bleeding.
yeah,
I mean, Okay, what are your thoughts on this? I know I didn't ask you this question,
Mhm.
but what if we come back and he didn't die? They save his life.
Then I don't know. That
Ah!
seems too
Ah!
much of a stretch, though, bro. 'Cause,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, bro. Are we gonna get to that point? I texted you this,
yeah,
man, and I stand by this, and I love this show, man.
yeah. I do too as
I,
well.
I, I wouldn't be podcasting about this, man. I mean, we've dedicated these last years, and I was thinking about this too, Jose. We've dedicated, these last years, and not like every day of our life, but to podcasting, bro.
Yeah,
Like this takes commitment, dude. You know what I'm saying? And so this show is great. We love it.
hmm
But I texted you this, and I stand by it. I'm glad it's ended, man.
yeah,
I'm glad it's ended because it's just getting like where else are you going with this, man?
yeah. You have to.
You know?
There's only so many times, you can overcome and win. You know what I'm saying? Before it
Yeah,
gets old.
yeah, yeah. Well, they don't. Where do
We
we
don't
go
even
with it,
know if
man?
that's going to happen, but
Yeah. Well, there's some rumors out there
yeah,
too, so we'll see. We'll get into
yeah.
that. But yeah, man. So that was your final 20. Go ahead. You were going to say some other things. Anything else about the final 20?
Well, yeah,
Because that's what I told you. Your thoughts in three words were the final 20.
yeah.
So anything else with that?
No, just basically like you said, like we've kind of been saying is, I think we need if there was a way we could ask the big three to just provide more clarity on that, and I just think they made the task a little bit harder to finish it out with the last 5 episodes after all that. So I don't know, it's a challenge, but you know what? If somebody can pull it off, faith in the big three.
I like that. I like that. So big three, you guys are listening. Producers, writers, cast members, anybody who's watching this, anybody, production assistants. Yeah, man, you guys are listening to this or watching this. Yeah, we'd like to know that. What was the thought process, and killing off Kwon, and how are you going to wrap it up in 5? I don't
Yeah.
know, but I like what Jose said. Jose's got a lot of faith that you guys can pull it off, but man, it sucks for Kwon, man.
Yeah.
But I do feel this. I do feel like he was taking kind of a back seat the last episode, but
Oh,
I don't know, man.
there's one more question that we haven't talked
No,
about.
I know.
Oh,
There's one
okay,
more
okay.
question, and there are a couple more things.
Oh, okay, my bad.
There's 2 more questions. Remember, because I texted you another thing.
Oh, okay,
But
yes,
before we get to those last 2 questions, let me just do this real quick. So, going back to the scoring system, because I made a note of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that only the captains fight, bro. You mentioned you like the scoring system. I like the scoring system within the team competition.
Yeah, the team, yeah.
But I didn't like that at the end you only have the captains fight.
Oh, okay, yes.
I don't, man. Like, I guess because it's my love for Miguel. But maybe you do 2 fighters from each dojo. Well, I
Right.
guess you got the boy and the girl, but maybe you do 4. So you do like 16-16, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do like the final 16. So, every dojo has 2 opportunities. So let's just say Robbie messes it up, which he probably would have. Then we get Miguel who tears it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just feel like should have been like best of the best, right? Where you have like they fight, in the best, through points. Remember, like all 6 of them fought. Was it 6 or was it 5? 5 fighters?
It was 6. I think
It was
there
6.
were 6 fighters on each team,
It
right?
was
2 captains.
Tommy Lee.
Oh, and best of the best
No,
of 5.
yeah, I'm just saying they should have kept it like that. So Tommy Lee,
Mhm. Travis Brickley,
Alex Grady, Travis Brickley, Sonny
Sonny
Grasso,
Grasso, and
my boy, right, Virgil.
Virgil.
So it's 5.
Yeah.
So it's 5. Anyways, but they did 5 against 5, and whoever had the most points won, right? So
Yeah.
I think it should have been something like that. Like, just give them a fight. They have, each has, I don't know. Even that, bro, you could have done something that tournament style like that, where again it's about fighting, but the whole just captains fight, like Miguel kicked ass, bro. So Miguel's gonna kick ass in all these 3 rounds, and then Robbie's gonna get the glory. I don't know if I like that, but that's just me, man. So, you got any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, or it could have been because it's a male and a girl, so I don't know, maybe pairs or something, like 2 guys, or well,
That's what I was saying. 2 guys, 2
2
girls.
guys, 2 girls. Yeah. So
I don't know. Anyways, all right, brother. Another thing. So this is just going kind of recapping what we said on our previous podcast, the trailer, and then we'll go to the last 2 questions.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, I'm excited about talking about them again. Things we got right on the podcast, our episode predictions based on the trailer. The Miguel and Johnny embrace. You said Miguel was going to cry because he got into Stanford.
Yeah, I was way off.
I said something happened to his mom.
You were
That
right
was the
on it.
case. Yeah, I knew it. But thank God nothing really bad happened to
Right.
her, man. So,
True that.
yeah. Prediction about Sensei Kim and Chosen. You said it was a face-off, one-upping each other. And then I said that somebody said that they had a fling back in the day, but they did it. But we were both wrong. But they did end up having a fling.
Yeah.
So there we go. Who did we predict Daniel was fighting? You said Silver. I didn't know, and nobody knew. Who knew
Right.
he was fighting some Spanish thugs sent by Silver? So kinda. There you go. You're
Yeah.
kind of right. There you go. Very good. And why did Daniel attack Kreese? We said Kreese said something derogatory about Miyagi. That was not the case. And then you said that Devin would come clean, so you were right. She did come clean. She called him. Took a lot of guts. And so we said the end that something bad happens to one of the characters. You mentioned Sam getting hurt, but that wasn't it.
Mm-hmm.
But now we know it was Kwon, man. So
Yeah.
the Injung Do. Oh, but you said the Injung Do would play a part in the end, and it did.
Yeah.
And it did.
Because they focused
And
on
it's
it in the
crazy.
trailer. They focused.
And they were focusing on it throughout the whole thing too, man.
Yeah.
With a freaking
The last
Kreese. And have
episode
you
is-
noticed? And have you noticed this, man? We haven't really talked about Kreese. I don't think he really did good this part, bro.
Yeah.
What about you?
Kind of took a step back. He wasn't.
He wasn't. I think I think he's overplayed his. Number one, I'm tired of all this war bullshit.
The war's over, bro.
I'm tired of the war references, bro. Okay, but I don't think he really did good, man. I mean, we love Marty Cove, and we heard Marty Cove is a cool dude, right?
Yeah.
One of the Cobra Kai fans next to us, told us that Marty Cove is a cool ass guy. So shout out to Marty Cove. But again, what do you do with his character? It's the same stuff, bro. And
Yeah.
but we haven't talked that much about him, man. So, but he had the freaking sword everywhere. The dude was ready to just take it out and shank somebody, man. Like, it's crazy.
Again, no
what's that?
No security checks, man. Just let people walk around.
For real, bro. No metal detectors, man. But shout out to Blood In, Blood Out being a title.
Yes.
What's up, baby? How many Blood In, Blood Out references have we made on this Cobra Kai podcast, man? So shout out to that. But yeah, it did play a part in, oh my gosh, Kwon, man. Sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Sucks. It's crazy. But we'll talk about that when we get to that episode. Here's a question I didn't ask you, man. Hold on, before I get to the question. We predicted that they weren't going to let us know about the Miyagi secret, but they kind of did, but they kind of didn't.
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt.
And remember, I had my reservations about the whole 16 teams because there's going to be a lot of people. But you know what, man? Even though there's 16 teams, they only really highlighted the Iron Dragons, Sensei Wolf, Zara, Axel, and Furia de Pantera, Diego, Spanish Hawk. They call him Spanish Hawk. And Maria, and the Dublin Thunder. They got a little bit of play, but nobody else was specific. So it was cool because, again, I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, man, you're going to give all these people play and stuff, but we didn't really, get anything from the other ones. And what were we wrong about? Sensei Wolf, because we were both kind of like, what about Sensei Wolf? And we kind of talked about that already. But all right, brother. So 3 questions. We'll close on it. And this one I didn't ask you, but the other ones I did. Did this cliffhanger top Miguel season 2?
Oh, man, that is a good question because I think both are good, but I'm going to say no because we're fans of Miguel. So I'm sticking with Miguel. So no, I think Miguel's season 2 one was better.
Yeah, for sure. Like, obviously that's going to come out of my mouth. Because not only that, I just think
it was confusing with the brawl. So like, what the hell?
Yeah, but season 2 was just,
Alley.
I feel like a broken record. Yeah, not only that, but the cruel summer, the Johnny remembering the voicemail, like not remembering, but listening to the voicemail and then remembering his conversation. It's great, dude. That writing was on point because everything lined up, And this one's just kind of, it was just, what can we do to get the people talking? And I'm sure people were talking like Kwon, oh my gosh. And I didn't know Cobra Kai would go dark like that, but did you really need to go dark like that? All right, brother. So 2 questions. I did ask you this. Why did the end, the final 20, affect Silver, Kreese, Johnny, and pretty much everybody the same?
Yeah, what I wrote down is because Kwon fell victim. This is what I wrote. Kwon fell victim to one of the Cobra Kai mindset. Defeat does not exist in this dojo. And when he was
Dang.
losing to Axel, or when Axel had the upper hand, basically. I mean, Kwon has got some shots, but Axel pretty much was tossing him around, bro. And so he couldn't accept defeat. So he saw the opportunity and took advantage of it, and it just did not work out in his favor. And so that's, I guess, because I did, after you sent me that question, I actually had to go back and look just to make sure exactly what their expressions were. Because
Yeah.
all three of them were Cobra Kai, so they know it. Defeat does not exist in this dojo, and Kwon fell victim to it.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you another question, but I'm probably gonna save it for the podcast when we cover that, because my thing was like, who's to blame? So we'll talk about
Yeah.
that one later. Because you'd be surprised who I'm thinking. There's a couple people, but I like that explanation, man. I didn't even think about that, bro. I didn't even think about that. But it's crazy how that scream
Yeah.
just got everybody's attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it halted everything. Well, again, we've already talked about where the hell is the security,
Yeah.
but it halted everything. But I specifically pointed that out to you because I saw that. I'm like, damn, look at these dudes. Could it be that they finally realized that all our bullshit has led to a freaking kid getting killed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know, man.
exactly right,
So,
bro.
right,
Spot
like
on.
all this fighting that we're doing, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And maybe that's what the big three was going for. But we're going to get to how they could have done it differently when we get to our
Yeah.
done differently.
And
Because I got some things in mind, and I kind of talked about it
yeah, and
a
I
little
like your
bit. Go
question.
ahead, bro.
Who's to blame? Who's to blame?
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in the actual episode. Yeah.
So you guys got to tune in, all
Yeah.
right? Because we'll be covering that here in the next coming weeks. All right, brother. So here's the last question I asked you, man. Where do we go from here? How does this end, man?
I mean, in my opinion, bro, this is just my opinion, and I think I'm gonna take some snippets from Raul. In my opinion, I don't think they're gonna just cancel the tournament. No, there's no winner, and the last 5 episodes should focus on closing it out, man, closing it all out so it ends the right way for the fan.
You don't think there's going to be a winner? You don't think they're going to continue?
I mean, again,
Okay.
I'm not saying no, there isn't, but I just think it's going to take up time, and it's gonna, gonna leave us short of an ending that we might want. you know,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
So I'm a glutton for rumors and stuff, and I don't know why I go looking for them. And even though there was a rumor of Kwon, like apparently that's been out for a while, and I had seen that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I still, number one, I've mentioned this before. You can have a rumor, you can have a spoiler, but it's still important how it's actually played out in the filming, right? Because nobody knows how it's going to play out unless they've seen it already.
Yeah.
But let's say, and that sucks for the people who maybe were a production assistant and they were behind the scenes and they saw what happened, and so they go out and tell these spoilers, because that's probably how this stuff leaked.
Yeah.
Because it leaked, bro. It leaked that Kwon was going to die.
Like way
And
before, like
yeah, dude, yeah, for sure. And I didn't want to believe it because I was like, would they really go there? And so when it happened, I mean, and they said it that he was going to fall on the sword. I mean, it played out like that. But again, until you watch it on film, until you watch it on TV, like, and again, and when you watch it in the context of everything, like, you don't know what the music and everything else and the cuts, like you never know how it's going to play out. So, but there's a rumor that they're going to bring the Saikai Taika to the All Valley. So do they go there? And then there's a rumor that Johnny starts Cobra Kai, or Cobra Kai is now Cobra Kai, Johnny's Cobra Kai. So I don't know, man. I don't know how it's going to play out. That's just a rumor. If it's true, okay, how's it going to play out? Am I excited for the next 5? I'm excited to see how it ends because, number one, we know the finality is coming. So we want to see it. We've been invested in this since, it came out on YouTube Red, right?
Yeah.
Not Netflix. We were on it before Netflix. So now I'm excited because I want to see how it ends, and hopefully, it goes back to Johnny Miguel being the center point.
Yeah.
So if it goes to that, okay, it goes to that, but how's it going to play out? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I mean, yeah, I can see that angle too, and you mentioned this earlier. Yeah, I think there has to be some closure of the tournament, some type of aftermath, but I just think it'll take up too many episodes, and might not leave any time. So
So if they do it because the rumors or whatever,
yeah,
then I'm just scared that the other things are going to be rushed, dude.
yep, exactly.
So
Yeah,
let's go back to episode 1 of season 6.
he's climbing the valley.
Johnny got that text message from my boy Raymond Porter. Raymond Porter,
Unreliable witness.
unreliable witness. Shout out to Hayden.
Hayden,
Hayden
yeah,
acted out it, acted,
Hmm.
and he said, "Hey, bring Cobra Kai back." Remember, I told you there's a reason for that. So Cobra Kai comes back. I didn't expect it. If it does happen like that, I didn't expect it like that. But still, bro, still. How do you wrap this up with Johnny and Daniel? There's got to be some closure there too, right? It's got to be some growth.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. And I think Miguel was that point, at the beach, that scene when Miguel kind of got him, on the same page. So shout out to Miguel for that. But how does it all tie up, man, at the end? So we'll see, brother. I
yeah,
guess
we'll
that's
see. We have to wait till
we have to
February.
wait till February 13th, brother, for that to happen. But man, it's out. And again, I'm excited to start podcasting again about it, man. So anything else, brother, about this, about, these last 5 episodes before we do our closure? Speaking of closure, before we do our closure.
Yeah. Nah, man, I think we covered it, well, as best as we can without giving, too much away, because we
Yeah.
want to reserve the good stuff for the actual episode review.
That's right, baby. Was it Gomer Pile, surprise, all our categories and stuff,
Yeah.
for sure, man. All right, so this is the plan, brother. We got the holidays coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, we want to give people an opportunity to watch the episodes again. So we'll I know next week, give them 1 week, and we'll give them Thanksgiving week. So I figured and we got a trip ourselves coming up. So
Yeah.
I figure we can record, and then we can release the first one December 2nd. So the way I looked at it, December 2nd, December 9th, December 16th, 23rd, and 30th. So that's 5. So we can release them all 5 in December, and we'll be, I don't know, we'll be the first podcast, Cobra Kai podcast to do it, but that'll be the plan, bro. We'll just knock it out. So, yeah, we'll be back December 2nd. December 2nd, we'll have episode 6, which is entitled, what was it entitled, bro? Episode
6 was, oh man, my
Let's
mind's
see.
slipping. Yeah, we got to
Let's
look that up.
Look it up. Look that up. Look that up, brother. Look it up for us. But yeah, we'll be back We'll be back on December 2nd covering episode 6 of Cobra Kai season 6 part 2. Season 6 part 2. So again, we appreciate you guys while Jose is looking up the title of that episode. We appreciate you guys listening. And again, sorry for the raspy voice. Was not feeling 100%, but hey, we powered through because that's what Cobras do. There we go. So yeah. You got it?
Not yet, man. Hold on.
But yeah, so while he's doing that, you got it?
No, not yet. Dang it.
Okay. So while he's doing that, again, we appreciate you guys listening to the pod. Again, share the podcast. If you have time, leave a review. It helps us in terms of just leave a review, leave a rating. Helps people know that, hey, this is a podcast that, does a great job. If that's what you think, we do a great job. And just talking about each episode, again, just leave a review. We'd greatly appreciate it, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream podcasts. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, what is it, brother?
It's been guts a Barcelona.
Okay, so
and then the
whatever
dog
that
in
is,
the
right?
fight, and then snakes on the plane, blood in, blood out,
Blood in, blood out.
and Jando.
Ancient dough. All right, so those are the ones we'll be talking about here in December. So we'll be back December 2nd. So you guys, again, we appreciate you guys listening to us. Hope you enjoyed our initial thoughts and review, but we'll come back with a more in-depth review. But not only review, lessons and insight that we get from Cobra Kai. So Jose, what do you want to say before we leave, brother?
No, again, hey, just thank you to everyone who continues to support us, continues to listen to us. It's truly our pleasure to provide this content. of this amazing show, and the big three just keep surprising us, and we'll see how they close it out, man. We're getting to the end of that journey, but hey, we appreciate everything, and we'll be back December 2nd, reviewing the episodes.
That's right. And we'll be back because Cobra Kai never
Dies.
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 Dies.